There's one core model that Jesus dismantled that most of Christianity still teaches, and it's the punishment model. By the end of this video, you'll understand how Jesus replaced punishment-based religion with identity-first transformation, and why that changes everything about faith and healing and justice. In fact, this realization is how I personally went from fearing God in the literal sense and anxiously policing myself to experiencing God as present consciousness, love, liberation, empowerment, affirmation, and my unlimited good, my total well-being. Now, toward the end of this video, I'm going to share a simple activation that most people were not taught. Or if you were, it's easy to forget it if you don't practice it. But when you do it today, something internally will shift to a higher gear. This is going to provide leverage for you in life to live well from the inside out. So stay with me. If you're new here, I'm Jason Powell, author of Reimagine God, a progressive Christian spiritual teacher, a gospel artist, a father, and more importantly, a fellow human with you on this journey of life. Here to encourage you and equip you on your journey. If you love Jesus, but you're done with the shame-based theology, this channel is for you. Here we raise our consciousness so that we can manifest a more heavenly reality. So go ahead and subscribe. This is not a place for condemnation. It's a place of liberation. Now, our main story today is found in the Gospel of John, the 8th chapter, and the 1st through the 11th verse. It's about the woman who was caught in adultery. But before we read it, here are 3 key truths for us to notice. It's the law that demands punishment in this story. Stoning is the expected outcome. What a harsh and cruel law that is. But these kinds of laws shaped the way the people thought. It was the religious culture and the social culture that shaped the way the people thought. And sadly, the way a lot of people think today. But Jesus lands in the middle of that and shifts it. We'll get to that. Number 2, Jesus doesn't deny the woman's accountability or other people's accountability for that matter, but he refuses to use shame. And number 3, the transformation happens after the dignity is restored, not before. Now listen closely to this key verse. Let anyone among you who is without sin cast the first stone, or be the first to throw a stone. Imagine that. People ready to stick to the law, to stick to the rules, in the name of God, ready to throw a stone at this woman because she was caught in a quote-unquote sin. Never mind that there was another person she was engaging with. Just this punitive theology, this angry, aggressive retaliation in the name of God that Jesus steps into the middle of and disperses and sends away. If Jesus was sending away that kind of punitive thinking back then in that text, the living Christ mind is doing the same today. The living Christ spirit is doing the same today. There may be others who use that name to condemn and to cast the stone, but that's not the spirit of Jesus. And this story shows us that. Now notice Jesus doesn't shame the woman. He actually exposes the punishment system itself. Now this causes us to wrestle with something, doesn't it? This whole idea of punishment as a change agent. Many people have inherited this belief that people only change when they're afraid enough. But what kind of pathway of change does that create? Is it authentic? Is it harmful to self and others? Is it beneficial? Is it suffocating? Or is it life-giving? That might be the punishment model, but notice that Jesus doesn't use fear as a transformation tool. In a lot of Christian circles, you might hear ideas like this. Well, without punishment, people won't take sin seriously. Do you even know what sin is? It's missing the mark of God's goodness, of God's love, of God's grace, of God's well-being, of God's abundance. Jesus said, I've come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. Jesus said the cardinal commandments were to love God, others, and self. And we understand from other texts that grace is on the highest seat. Grace is on the throne. Can you see how this bulldozes punishment theology and sin consciousness? Now about this lady, Jesus removes the stones before addressing behavior. Liberation theologian James Cone frames it like this. Any theology that legitimizes suffering instead of ending it is not the gospel. Doesn't that resonate with you? Doesn't that resonate with your inner core? The Spirit of God in you agrees with that, I believe. Well, what did Jesus say? The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to what? preach deliverance to the captives, recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are bruised, to preach the gospel to the poor. All of this is liberation purpose that Jesus claimed, not condemnation, punishment. Now, if this perspective is resonating with you, Reimagine God goes much deeper into identity-first spirituality and Christianity. And I've linked a full teaching playlist below to help you reframe scripture through a liberation empowerment lens. Now let's look at the internal shift that happened in the lady and that happens in the hearers of those who hear Jesus' words in this story. John 8, 1 through 11, New King James Version reads, "But Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. Now early in the morning he came again into the temple, and all the people came to him, and he sat down and taught them. Then the scribes and Pharisees brought to him a woman caught in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, they said to him, 'Teacher, this woman was caught in adultery in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned. But what do you say?'" Pause. They're referring to some Old Testament texts that are in this same Bible I'm reading. And here is Jesus positioning himself against the evil use of that text. Verse 6. "This they said, testing him, that they might have something of which to accuse him. But Jesus stooped down and wrote on the ground with his finger as though he did not hear. So when they continued asking him, he raised himself up and said to them, 'He who is without sin among you, let him throw a stone at her first.' And again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. Then those who heard it, being convicted by their conscience," pause. The conviction of their conscience was not about their correct practice of religious law. It was about their disavowal of divine grace, their rejection of the spirit of grace and redemption, which Jesus embodied. Back to verse 9. "They went out one by one, beginning with the oldest, even to the last. And Jesus was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. When Jesus had raised himself up and saw no one but the woman, he said to her, 'Woman, where are those accusers of yours? Has no one condemned you?' She said, 'No one, Lord.' And Jesus said to her, 'Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more.' Then Jesus spoke to them again, saying, 'I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of life.'" Now, the powerful liberation aspect can also be seen when Jesus says, "I don't condemn you either. Go and sin no more." That word was not a restrictive word. It was a liberating word from the realignment of the identity that she is not a condemned person. Then that's going to shift how she shows up in the world. And if she makes mistakes, she's not going to identify herself under the thumb of condemnation. She's going to begin to see herself differently and move differently in the world because there is none to condemn her. And she awakens to the truth of who she really is. Go and sin no more did not mean, "I'm warning you, if you make a mistake again, somebody else will throw a stone and I'm going to let him this time." That's not what he's saying. He's saying the truth of you is elevated to a place where sin no longer has a defining aspect on who you are. "I do not condemn you. Go and be free." This is the essential statement. And sin is to miss the mark of love, joy, peace, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, kindness, self-control. But thankfully, the Spirit of God can realign us with these values over and over again, not only internally, but in our daily progress that we make, in our work, in our achievements, in our life, in our becoming. We are not defined by mistakes. And the new realization of our identity helps us to walk out the good plan of the divine for our lives. Jesus says, "Neither do I condemn you." That sentence restores identity before calling for change. Only then does Jesus say, "Go and sin no more." Change flows from belonging, not threats. As Brené Brown enlightens us, shame doesn't lead to change, it leads to hiding. But then there are those who stand on this soapbox, that grace without fear could lead to moral depravity and chaos. But you don't need grace to aid the chaos, you have that without it. It's the grace that changes from the inside out, not according to what society or religious interpretations say you need to change into, but into the truest and the highest aspects of the divine that Jesus embodied. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. The highest spiritual values and the essentials. And this is what liberation in community looks like. Jesus' model doesn't just heal individuals. It disrupts systems of oppression, systems of condemnation, systems that cause you to have self-hate so that you can be under the control of someone else. Here, Jesus comes to reorient your identity to who you truly are and pushes back the punishment, accusation, condemnation system. And what happens? The crowd walks away. The stones drop. This power dynamic collapses. This is liberation theology in action. This is your liberation in motion. Jesus later confirms this when he says, you will know the truth, and the truth that you know will set you free. Can you claim that I know the truth, and the truth that I know sets me free? When this becomes your stance and your position and your placement, you won't be held down anymore. You won't be caged in anymore. And the Spirit of God in you will soar like never before. And as Howard Thurman shaped in our thinking, this is an example of, quote, the form of religion that speaks to the disinherited. It's time for you to claim your inheritance, your spiritual inheritance, your mental inheritance, your natural inheritance, and your placement in the world in which you belong. Punishment controls. Identity empowers. Now let's practice this together. Quietly say, I am no longer ruled by shame. I am transformed by the truth of God in me. I am love. I am wholeness. I am in God, and God is in me. And this realization transforms me from self-hate into self-love, from fear and scarcity to presence and belonging, from hiding to thriving. God meets me as I am and calls me forward. Therefore, I go forward into new peace, into new freedom. I go forward into new life. I go forward into new self-acceptance. I go forward into new divine identity. I go higher into greater love. I go forward into higher states of goodness and well-being. God is with me on my journey. Every step I take, the brightness of God around me unfolds. I go with God, and God goes with me. Thank you, God in me. Notice what loosens, notice what shifts. This is your day for progress and liberation. Today is a new day in your life. That is identity awakening. Listen, if this message resonates, I invite you to go deeper. Reimagine God, whether you're reading it in your hands, scrolling on your device and searching your key topics, or listening to it in your ear. This will accelerate your stepping into your freedom and your becoming and your empowered self in God. It'll break you free from punishment-based faith, if you can call that faith. And you'll begin to step into the empowering, liberating gospel. Good news. The good news in your own mind, in your own heart, and expressed in your world. Oh, and watch the playlist that is linked here. These teachings are designed to renew your mind and reframe your relationship with the Bible, self, and God, which impacts how you interact with all of the world around you. Jesus didn't come to punish humanity. He came to restore it. Remember, when you reimagine God, you reimagine yourself and the world that unfolds for you. See you in the next video.